Hi, I'm Dr. Wayne Burkholz with Total Performance Physical Therapy. Today we're going to show you a taping technique that will help with edema, swelling. We're going to use rock tape. If you have KT tape, Kinesio tape, whatever brand you happen to prefer, that's fine. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut a piece of tape long enough to cover the next joint. So in this case, we're going to pretend that she has edema in her wrist. So we're going to cover the forearm up and above the elbow. So you want to cut that piece, and you're going to cut it in half lengthwise, and then you're going to either go into third or fourth, so you end up getting 6 to 8 fingers down here in the bottom. Then you're going to rip the tape above the fingers so that you get a nice little gap like this. Then you can even remove that piece if you want. All right. So you're going to start off with each individual finger. You want this part that you just ripped out to come above the point that your swelling is. So in this case, we are going to do each individual finger. Doesn't really matter exactly where they run. They can even crisscross over each other. You just want it to go over the area of swelling. So you're going to start this off down here, lay it down, and just make sure you don't stretch the very end of it. You want to put a little bit of a stretch on this part, but the last inch or so should not get stretched. Same thing with the rest. And as you lay these down, like I said before, you can crisscross them if you want. Just make sure that the end does not end on a piece of tape. You want that end on skin and not overlapping. So you can actually take this and run it, lift your hand for me. Run it right down like that, wherever there happens to be swelling. You want it to cover whatever area has the edema in it. Like I said, it does not have to be straight lines. So what you end up with is whatever pattern you felt like making. All right, you're going to lay it down. You're going to stretch this out up and over the next joint. Just as we talked about before, you want some tension on this, but the last inch or so, no tension. Now with all these tapes, they adhere with heat, so you want to make sure that you give it a little friction, just enough to warm it up the whole length of everywhere that you just set it. One thing I did not mention at the beginning is you want to make sure that you round every corner. If you look, there's not a square here or here. Any of these, if they have a square end, that will catch and it'll rip the tape off. So you want to make sure that all of your corners have a nice rounded edge. It's a little time consuming to do all the little corners down here, but it's worth it because it'll last a whole lot longer this way. All right, this is good for about 2 or 3 days. Usually at the end of that, they will start to see that right here under the lines, the edema will start to go away. It doesn't really affect the whole area right away. What happens is the tape actually starts to sink down into the skin. So you want to give them a heads up on that, because if they wake up the next day and it's like sunk down in, sometimes people get a little worried about that. So education, when you're putting the tape on, is key. All right, give it a shot. Let us know how it goes.